Alright, if you saw the last video, you knew I was working on the door gap. So this car, this side, I put the whole inner structure together. Nothing here is welded. But the good news is we got a great door gap. Almost perfect. I would say it's pretty dang close to perfect. I couldn't be more satisfied. I spent a long time doing that. Now this is all held together with self-tapping screws, and it basically can be welded in at this point. But that's only one side, and I have to do this other side. I have to get this door gap right, play with it, work at it. So you'll see right here, that's not right. When you build these two sides, they can be perfect side to side, right? This door gap could be good, and I can get this one good today. But when I go to put that roof brace on, when I go to put this trunk on, when I go put the tail panel on, then I have to make all the middle good, which is more manipulation. So honestly today, I don't feel like working on this at all, but I'm hungry. And I know once I get started, I'll feel way better. It's like 95 degrees. I brought my little toy model car out here to give me some motivation. That's right. I need all the motivation I can get working on this thing, because showing up every day ain't exactly easy. So I started by ripping off the door jamb. Now I didn't weld this thing together originally. It's a 3-layer metal setup, and I left it loose on purpose so I could still move it around in the car and mess with the gaps if I had to. Didn't want to lock anything in too early. I grabbed the Harbor Freight die grinder, which yeah, it works, but the disc wore out faster than your patience on a rusted bolt. Easy enough to swap though. Then I started pulling out the self-tappers that were holding the jamb in place, and that's when I could finally start grinding all the crap off the metal. And here's the thing, these cars were never perfect from factory, so I'm building this door jamb to my standards, and it's already miles ahead of what Ford slapped together back in '67. From factory regardless, it's not always perfect, and you find something else that works way better than what they have as far as getting it lined up. See, it's a lot of edges that you have to grind. And that is because I'm using the spot welder. And if you don't know what the spot welder is, I'm going to show you in a little bit. You have to have a flush, clean metal surface. You can't corrupt the weld. So here's the thing with this Harbor Freight spot welder. I'll show you guys how it works in a bit, but it's only as good as the prep you give it. If there's rust, there's paint, or even a whisper of crap between the layers, your welds are toast. That's why I'm going in with a die grinder, cleaning every single edge till it's shiny like a mirror. I'm going to hit it with weld through primer later, but even that stuff needs a clean surface or it traps junk underneath. Bottom line, corrupted metal equals corrupted weld, so we prep it like it matters, because it does. So we just finished grinding all of these pieces with this die grinder. I went through 3 tips. They melt so quickly. If any of you have any better recommendations, I would really appreciate that. Now I'm going to wipe everything down with acetone, and the reason I'll do that is because the acetone cleans the metal, preps it, gets all the dirt and grime off, because welds can be corrupted super easy. So you want to make sure this metal is all clean and get off any extra paint that I'm missing. So I'm going to wipe it down with acetone, spray it with weld through primer, and then I can start getting the spot welder and welding it all together to put in the car. First thing, I blew off all the dust from the metal I just welded. Gotta keep it clean. There's no point in grinding if you're just gonna leave crap on the surface. Then yeah, I oiled up the die grinder real quick. Kinda random, but hey, if you don't look after your tools, they won't look after you. Next, I hit everything with acetone, poured some on a rag, and gave every edge a proper wipe down. You'd be shocked how much junk comes off, even after grinding. Then I took it all outside and sprayed weld through primer over every spot that's gonna see heat. Think of weld through primer like sunscreen for metal. It keeps it protected even when it's getting torched. Without it, rust creeps in between your welds, and that's a headache waiting to happen. And yeah, I probably should be wearing a mask, but I'm not saying I'm high, but let's just say the welds weren't the only thing getting coated. Alright, so it's been about 1 hour. Pieces are fully dry with the weld through primer. As you can see on the edge, this is old primer on this side, that's why it's a little scuffy. So now I'm just going to take all of these pieces and do what they're meant to be done. Weld them together. I have my holes drilled out here for where I originally aligned them. It wasn't close or accurate to the holes they have on here. So I'm going to redo it using their guide marks, because these stamped metal kits come with guide holes, so you kind of know how things are supposed to line up, but they're not always spot on. You got to use a mix of factory cues, real world fitment, and good old eyeballing to get it right. All right, 2 holes. There, that's aligned right there. There's a hole, put it in. Now that's in there, it's sitting pretty flat. I'm super happy with that. And then I'll do the same down here, because you want this metal as flat as possible when you're welding. If it's bumping up at all, it's not gonna weld, because that welder that I have, this spot welder down here, it has to be perfectly touching, like it has to be touching, and it has to be metal on metal, or weld through primer and weld through primers. You need to clamp it tight. This is not clamped tight, there's a gap, so we'll get this like this. So here's how a spot welder works. Unlike a MIG welder that feeds wire into the weld, this thing needs two pieces of metal touching each other, no gap. It sends current between the copper tips and literally fuses the metal together with pressure and heat. That's why weld through primer is perfect. It still conducts electricity, but if you got regular paint or rust in the way, it's not going to do anything. But the real key is pressure. If the panels aren't tight, it won't weld, and it's simple as that. And those copper tips, you got to keep them clean and sharp. If they get too flat, the weld won't take. So every few welds, I hit them with a file and keep the points around 1/8 of an inch. I'm gonna take this, put it right along the edge there, squeeze down on the trigger, all right, and then as soon as you feel that contact, click this. You'll see it glow orange, and then boom, it's welded. I thought I nailed it. The welds were looking good, everything's going smooth, until I try to test fit it. And yeah, this is where it all starts going wrong. Everything's going great. Everything's going great until it isn't. So this side of the inner structure, this is that piece we just welded together fully. As you can see, super nicely spot welded, right? And it has to go into this top inner structure right here. It goes under like this. Now, as you can see on this side, how it's kind of flush with the corner and it sits on top. Look how far off we are here. Now I noticed when I was welding this piece, this metal is way different from that side. The variation in the metal is not accurate at all. Whoever stamped these from Taiwan, it's not accurate, and so many other people said that. These kits aren't original 67 parts. They're freshly stamped in factories overseas, mostly in Taiwan. And the problem is the tolerances are all over the place, so stuff just doesn't fit like it should. So when I'm trying to push this in to match with this, it gets stuck. Right here, you cannot push it anymore this way. So I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do, but it's the inner structure, and what matters is the outside. But I don't want to have that mindset, because if there's a way this can be fixed, I have to find it. If not, I can make work without it. It's just that will everything align properly. So we have to get this welded, or just somewhat on, fit better, and see what we can do here. Sometimes when you're building a car, things just don't go to plan. You spend hours making everything right, and then that one part throws the whole thing off. I started second guessing myself, measuring everything, double checking the structure, just to make sure it wasn't me, that nothing on the car had shifted. Turns out it really was just the panel. It wasn't stamped quite right. But I did find that if I clamped the edge and pulled it in just slightly, I could get it a little closer. Not perfect, but definitely better. It's not the final fix, but it's got me moving again. Happy that those measurements line up, because it means that it's equal height on each side, so there's no off tilt. The only thing is this inside, where we were working before, I was able to use this clamp and clamp this to here and push this in, so it's pretty accurate down here. Up here though, it's really off. As you can see, it's not that off on this side, but right here, it's really off. Now, I've consulted with people online, I've been talking to them, and everyone just says it's a matter of getting the outside right. It's okay if the inner structure is off, because you're not gonna see it. As long as the outside is right, it will be fine. If you get the gaps right, everything looks good on the car. It doesn't matter how the inside is welded. But for me, I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, well, if the inside is off, wouldn't it throw the outside off? But with those two measurements, I just confirmed that it's good distance right now. My wheelhouse is tightly on, everything's good there. This measurement from down here to down here is the same on each side. So I wanna trust it and say it's okay, but we'll see when we put the quarter panel on, maybe we get that right. Maybe it's perfectly on. But when it comes to putting all the deck lid on, I'm a little nervous. It's not easy, it's pretty nerve-wracking to do all this. So this right here, this gap, is pretty good, it looks like from a visual. When I put the quarter on, this will have to move up 1/8 of an inch. Up here, nothing's welded, nothing's screwed, so this can go up a little bit too to get this closer. From the end of this door right here to right here going straight up, it measures 13 1/8. On the other side, it measures 13th and 1/8. So the inner structure wasn't lining up right, and I've seen a lot of people online say, don't worry about it. As long as the outside looks good, you're fine. But to me, that really never made sense. Like, if the inside's off, wouldn't that naturally throw the outside out too? It's like building a house. If your frame's crooked, good luck getting the drywall straight. So I went around and started measuring everything for the second time, just to be sure it wasn't something bigger. I measured from the top of the door up to the inner structure on both sides, the good side and the side that looked off, and surprisingly they came out to 13th and 1/8 on both sides. So for now, at least in that area, it checks out. Let's bust out this mallet and see if we can move it over. Now that I was a little more confident everything was square, I moved on to test fitting the quarter panel just to see what the raw door gap looked like. And honestly, it wasn't too bad. Now you know when the hat falls off, it gets serious. So let's see what our door gap looks like right now. This has to be pushed in down here, but all right, it could be worse. It could be worse. I think this is easily fixable in a sense. As you can see, it's pretty big up here, guys. Pretty big, super tight, and then I think this whole panel is just out way too much. Now checking the alignment back here, it's not even on. Look how off it is right here. It's perfect. So we definitely have to pull this over and lift it up. We have to pull it over and lift it up. So let's try to do that real quick. Now, I was trying to get this quarter panel more straight and flush, but the real problem, I just didn't have an extra set of hands. I needed to push one side of the panel while holding the other, basically impossible on your own. So I called in my dad for help. You know, it's funny, I always think I can handle it myself, but I always end up needing him. It's just like when I was younger, trying to break a loose rusted bolt, and I'd call him in for that one burst of dad's strength. We started dialing in the quarter panel a bit more, but there's still a lot of fitting left, and I'm not gonna lie, throwing the trunk deck lid on next is gonna be scary because you never really know if it's gonna line up, but this is a good start on the door gap, just gotta put in some more work. So we're working at this gap on the other side, and this is what it's looking like right now. When I release this though, you see, you guys see how it's off right here? When I release this clamp, it doesn't look terrible. We definitely gotta maneuver it around to fix it, play with this adjustment up here, and just work at it for hours like the other one. Guys, it was late last night. It was probably like 3 a.m. and I had to come out here in the morning just to think about it. But I looked at photos from when I filmed and I got it. I know what I'm gonna do for this awkward piece. I'm sorry I look a mess, I just woke up. Watch this. Bear with me. So we're inside of the car right now. This side, the metal is so much more close to being flush. Enough so where I'm not even worried about welding it because this edge has enough to weld to, right? But this side right here, guys, it's overhanging, as you guys know. So I was thinking, like, how can I push this inwards? And I was like, what if I don't have to push it inwards? Because I'm gonna cut a piece of metal, this exact shape right here. Sorry for my meat thermometer, it's the only thing I have to demonstrate this. I'm gonna cut some metal this exact shape right here, and then I'm gonna weld it to this edge right here, and then I have the clamp too, and it will look like it was never messed with. Now, this is what I mean when you gotta think outside the box. You guys are gonna see. Oh.